Hi, and welcome to our fourth homeschool video. Today's video is on spelling words. And I really quickly just wanted to tell you how to find your spelling words, and then also some ways that you can encourage your kids to practice your spelling words. And then at the end I'll go over some ways to actually give a spelling test. The good thing about homeschooling is that you have the ability to really focus on what your child needs to know. So for my children, what I chose to do is to actually choose words for their spelling list that they wanted to spell. So for instance, in Writer's Journal this year, he had misspelled the word coming, Coming. So we talked a lot about the rule of dropping the E on the end and adding ing. So that week his spelling list focused on that rule, and I found some other words in his journal that he had misspelled using that same rule, and those became his spelling words for that week. These were words that were important to him, and also that I knew he would want to use later on because he'd already used them once in his journal. This is how I think this is what I feel is the best way to actually create a spelling list, just because they're real words for your child and they have meaning to them. However, if you are having a difficult time and you just don't know where to start, there are many programs such as All About Spelling, and they will actually give you cards that come in packages, and you can use those words for spelling lists. If you don't feel like investing on that program, there are many websites online that you can just type into Google kindergarten spelling words or first grade spelling words, and you will get a huge list of results. And if you go to the images link, or the images along the toolbar at the top of Google, you'll pull up actual spelling word lists that you can print out for your child. One more thing I wanted to add quickly: for kindergartners, I would not necessarily give them spelling words until the end of the school year. For the beginning of the school year, I would probably do something fairly easy, like having them spell sounds. So I might begin with saying something like ah. Write the letter that makes the sound ah, and so then it would be up to the child to write the letter O, and maybe that's our focus for that week, or maybe it's just part of our review. So that's how I would or I would involve kindergartners in spelling word lists. Another thing that I found effective with Ashlyn are these little hot dots. I think I picked this up at Lakeshore, but inside there's a little pin guy like this, and he will actually tell them whether they have the right answer or the wrong answer. So very quickly I'll show you this one. It is the letter Z, and if I put it on Zipper, let me see if I can get to his eyes light up green. If I put it on the hat though, his eyes light up red. So that's just a very quick way that I would have Ashlyn practice some of her letter sounds, and this was very very great because I could have her do this independently. I didn't have to be standing over her shoulder to make sure that she picked the right letter, the right picture to go with the right letter. So that's just something that I chose to invest in. Again, that's not something that you have to invest in. You can usually find them at Joann's pretty cheap. A lot of times they're 50% off, but they are full of letters, and they have uppercase and lowercase, and they also have numbers. So if she was learning about the letter P, then I would have her try to find some P's in here, and then I might send her to a magazine and have her cut out some pictures of things that begin with the letter P. I'm always trying to make it fun and interactive when we're practicing those letters, because otherwise that it becomes a very trying thing when you're just saying every day, okay, practice writing your words 3 times, write it in a sentence. Those things become very boring very quickly. For Ashlyn, I would also do, I have the dot markers, and they're just like those little bingo markers, and I would have her make her letters with those. I also had her, at the end of the year, she started working on some short consonant vowel consonant words like hat and sit, and so I would have her use the dot markers to trace those words as well. Those could also be used for your older kids too. For Writer and Ella, was constantly coming up with new ideas just to make it fun for them. So this is one thing I found. It says roll and write reading or rainbow spelling. So if you roll a 1, then you have to write the word in red, 2 orange, 3 yellow, 4 green, 5 blue, and 6 purple. So I gave them a dice, they had their spelling word list, and they would roll the dice for each word, and they had to write it in that color. I also did some things like I took them outside and they wrote their spelling words with sidewalk chalk on our driveway. We had they got to write them with the hose on the driveway a couple times. We had trying to think of some other fun things. Watercolor painting. I got some more gimmicky kind of stuff to get them practicing, and these are just those those scented markers that they smell so good. So that was another thing I just got, just trying to inspire them to want to practice their spelling words a little more. I also bought gel pens. This pack hasn't been opened yet, but the other pack, they actually used a lot of the colors until they were all the way dry, so I had to go out and buy a new pack of them this year. But the gel pens they loved, and sometimes I would have them just like illustrate the word or write the word, you know, in the coolest way they knew how, and so it was really fun to see them come up with some designs for their words. Um, these are sentence strips. Now these were actually longer, and I cut them in half because I wanted them to be a little more manageable. And one time I had them go through a magazine and cut out each letter for their spelling word. So if the word was sit, I'm just going to use that word again, they would have to go in the magazine, cut out the letter S, I, and T, and then put it on their sentence strip. These came in handy because I also use these to play games with. This is a very quick and easy way. You can stick some painter's tape on the back, stick them on the wall, and you can have them point to the words each day and read their words off. You could turn them upside down and mix them up and have them try to um, uh, pick up a word and read it really fast. Or there are so many things you can do with these sentence strips. So I really suggest everyone pick up a pack of sentence strips. You can use them for so many different things, for math and reading and writing. So those are a great investment. These are just magnetic boards, and then I have a whole slew of magnetic letters in the bottom. So sometimes they would just spell their words out with using the magnetic letters. One thing I would say though is if you could keep them organized, or if you think of a great way to organize magnetic